Hi, my name is Sierra Mansker, and today I'm going to tell you how you can do storytelling with Scratch. So the benefit of utilizing Scratch as a makerspace product or project for our youth is that Scratch is an online software that can be utilized by everyone, and it requires our students to build whatever it is that they want through the use of coding. And when I say build on the actual software itself, it looks like visual blocks, so you can see how you are physically building something. So this is sort of reminiscent of something like Legos. So when they are creating this kind of story with the use of the Scratch software, or creating any other project for that matter, they are learning how to code, and they are also able to share this at the end of their project with one another, and then they can collaborate on how to, what Scratch calls, remix it. And remix just means that they are able to edit or add on to other people's creations to create their own. So the benefit I definitely see from this is the creative outpouring that the students can have, where they can use their creativity to make these coding projects and to be able to collaborate with one another and with other people that utilize Scratch. So how it connects libraries and STEM education according to the American Association of School Library Standards is it really hits all of them, starting with the inquiry where in this particular makerspace activity, utilizing that storytelling with the Scratch software, we build on their prior knowledge of things like setting and characters and dialogue, those big vocabulary terms when we're talking about stories. So we're activating again that prior knowledge. And then they're having to think through, okay, what do I want my character to say? And then once they get through like what they want their story to look like, they might begin collaborating with one another with, hey, maybe use this block instead of that block to be able to come up with the exactness of what they want their story to be like, if when they want their characters to talk, when they want their characters to move, things of that nature. And they have such a plethora of options that curating here makes a lot of sense, because they're able to curate which would be the best option for them in their particular presentation or project. They're able to explore other people's creations and see what would best fit for them, or even to further gain ideas moving forward. And lastly, they're able to engage with one another because they're able to publish their projects, and then it is in the Scratch database and it becomes public for everybody to see. The only one that I didn't see that it was including was include, actually. And I think that there is definitely a way for it to happen. It just would need to be specifically addressed in the assignment as it is given. So my experience with Scratch is that it took me a little minute to really get into Scratch and see all of the different components that Scratch has to offer. I really enjoyed it, to be quite honest. I felt like a kid again myself, because I was just clicking and dragging and watching my character move on this side, just to be able to learn, what is the better piece to put into the coding, so that way my story flows the way that I want it to. And it actually took a lot longer than I thought. So I thought that I would be able to create like this wonderfully long story with, maybe a few times of dialogue and a couple different setting changes, but it ended up taking a lot more time than I had anticipated. And to me, that would be fine for both myself and for students, because it was an authentic learning opportunity. So I definitely advise that if you're going to do this, and I do think that everybody should, because it was a fun activity, but it is something that takes a little bit of time to get used to if you're not used to coding. So challenges with implementing with the youth is going to be that, first and foremost, Scratch is supposed to be utilized, like they advertise on their About section of their website, that it is for children that are ages 8 through 12. So if your kids don't fall in that age range, they might not hit exactly where it's supposed to be. I think it could definitely be utilized by people who are over 12, but the characters might look a little kiddish, I guess might be a good word to use here, in that it's very youthful presenting and very whimsical. But if it's lower, if your children are younger than 8 years old, I wouldn't necessarily recommend utilizing this unless it's in a small group with an adult present or somebody else who's a little bit older who can help in the process to help guide them along with what the next steps are, because there is a lot of clicking and dragging, so we've got a lot of motor movements here. But there is also a lot of going through the options and deciding what can be, or what would be the best thing to add to your coding sequence. And in that, it can become very overwhelming. So for your children who have like high anxiety, even if they are in that 8 to 12 age range, you make sure that you have the supports that are there, or that you need to have supports for the students who would become overwhelmed easily, just because, like I said, there are a lot of options. I would definitely recommend a very small scale project for the first time, just so that way they can get their feet wet and understand what to do next and what to do when you make a mistake or you want to get rid of something, because those are always good tools to have as well. My advice, and I think I've been giving this whole time, is that I think that everybody should try it. It's a free software, so I think that that is a wonderful opportunity for all of our students. I think that I would like to utilize it more in my school. I know my students have talked to me about Scratch before, and I've played around with it, but I didn't really go into it with an idea of, you know, creating something yet. I just was going in there and clicking and dropping and watching the little cat do something. But definitely utilize the About tab and then click to the educator resources, because those tutorials are very helpful. And they have a lot of free, like, it's all free, but they have a lot of video tutorials and videos to accompany like all of the different components of their website, including different TED Talks that support their creation and why it is heavily influential in the STEM world right now with students. Again, it can be very overwhelming, that first experience. So make sure that you have the time, and make sure that something that you assign students to do is obtainable. So maybe you want your students to just learn how to put in a character, how to put in a backdrop, how to make them say something, and then how to make them move, you know, like very basic blocks, and then start building on that as you go throughout your curriculum. The cost, like I said, is absolutely free. So yay, we love free. So don't worry about paying anything for this particular assignment and Makerspace, because this is free as long as you have some technological devices like Chromebooks or laptops or even desktops for students to get on. And my final thoughts were, this is actually a lot of fun creating this particular Makerspace. So I'm definitely going to think about ways to utilize this in my current library and in my current classes, because right now I'm also the yearbook teacher. So in yearbook class, now that we have pretty much finalized our yearbook, I think this is what I am going to start focusing on utilizing in our classroom to teach my students how to code, so that way they can leave with yet another skill. So woohoo! Thanks for this opportunity. Bye.